Hi, Mike. Can you hear me? Can you? Yes, I'm so sorry, guys. I tested this and it worked absolutely fine earlier. Um, I'm just on my phone right now instead of my computer. Yes, I'm really sorry about the technical issues, but not to worry. Let's get make sure that we can still go ahead. We have a backup just in case this happened. Mike, are you okay to share your screen with that link I sent you with the presentation? Thank you. Oh, oh yeah, that's the wrong, that's the Google sheet. I had sent one a bit later with, it's like a Canva. There we go. Thank you. Amazing. Okay. So if you go to the next one for me, because that's kind of just a placeholder for when I share it in the resources. So all of these slides I will share in the dedicated resource hub for MCP. So you guys can take it in a bit better then. And we'll also, as Mike mentioned, be recording this. So you can go back and re-listen or share it out if there's anyone else interested. So yeah, I thought we'd just start really by just explaining a bit about what I wanted to present, like MCP at the moment, so Model Context Protocol. There's a lot of talk about this. There's lots of, in my opinion, like more technical talk about the technology and how it's built, specifically around servers. But one thing I wanted to bring to you guys was more around the so what. What does that mean for us? How is it going to help us as Databutton builders? What can we actually do with it? So that's kind of the theme of this presentation. There'll also be, I'll say it now and I'll say it again a bit later as well, in case you miss it. We are currently doing testing on this. The official launch is due tomorrow. If you are interested, please reach out to me on DM or Mike with your email address. We will then send that on to Avra and he will get you set up straight away. We also have a dedicated channel. We're talking about the setup and how we use it. So we're helping bring feedback about this particular feature. It's really exciting to be part of that. And yeah, we hope that you join us. One of the things we want to do tomorrow as well is kind of get the word out a bit on, maybe you're on LinkedIn or X, just to share some of the fun things you've been building, and see if we can kind of help demystify what this is all about and make it, kind of keep it fun. So yeah, do let us know if you want to join that. So let's crack on with the presentation. If we start, next slide, please, Mike. We just very much take a step back and just start with what is MCP. And the easy way to describe it is breaking it down into model context and protocol. So we can see the model context part as the context that's given to a language model to describe how it should behave and interact. So a little bit like a rule book. And the protocol side is really just saying, having this unified way and set of rules and conventions that govern how the kind of data is exchanged and formatted between devices. So this has been described as, perhaps having a USB-C connector, just some unified way of charging a phone or any sort of device. This is a similar way that it enables AIs to communicate with tools in a very standardized way. We'll go into that in just a moment. But let's first go to the next slide and talk a little bit about what we do know. So a good way of explaining this is we all know the Databutton agent, and we all know that it has, of course, it's powered off a large language model, that's the brain. Then it has conversational responses, but one thing it also has is tool calls. So those tool calls is specifically, is actually directly related to MCP. So we can see that the thing that matters to us with MCP is the ability to use tools, and how MCP makes that easier for us and any developer, any AI engineer. And the tool calls, for example, we know that the Databutton agent has web search API and a task management API. But what it means for any developer using these APIs is they have to have, well, they can be set up very differently depending on who's building it. And what that means is if you want someone else to use that API as part of their AI agent, it depends on how they set it up. So you have to have very clear instructions about how to use the tool and how the functions work for the AI to really kind of be effective. And then if someone else uses that web search API in their agent, it depends on how they set it up. So really, this is like, I put a bit of an analogy. It's like teaching multiple people how to use a new app without a clear process. So people approach it in very different ways and they have a very different experience. So what MCP aims to do is make that more simplified. If we go to the next slide. So one way to visualize it is you've got multiple agents on the bottom, each having their tools set up to go to different APIs. And the prompts and instructions and functions are at the bottom. They sit with the AI agent who's using that tool. And on the next slide, we can see how that changes with MCP. Now we have this server in the middle. So this is what we can directly relate to this. I'll go into a bit more detail. This is what Databutton is actually providing us with this new release, is a server. They are hosting this server. And what it provides is any AI agent with access to this MCP server will be able to use it in a unified way. Like it's now making sure that the context and behaviors are unified, which means that it's more consistent. So what we'll see is, for example, if you imagine these shops as, I don't know, Apify, or you've got even like a weather tool, any sort of API, financial tools, things like that. If they are set up with an MCP server, they have control over how you use that agent, which in time will make it so when we build AI agents, it will make them perform a lot better because those individuals are managing those and they want them to perform good, they want them to perform well. So they'll be iterated upon and get better and better. But what it also means for us is we can consider ourselves one of these shops as well, because we can generate our own MCP server using Databutton. We have the ability to create a really powerful tool for an AI agent that can then access our application. Any API that we set up in our application can be converted into an MCP for other AI agents to use, and also for us to use in our own applications. And we've got if I'm able to show it a bit later, it might not have my voice, but I'll explain what's been set up that you can test right away that can show you how this works. But going back to this, on the next slide, we can kind of see now how our agent now has the ability to have this MCP for consistent, predictable results. So when it's interactive external tools, these are hosted and created by those providers. We can also be those providers which we can monetize. So it actually opens up a new market for us, a new ability to provide a service through Databutton or through what we're building and monetize that. But what that looks like to us, if we go to the next slide, is they've actually made it really, really simple. Like, I can't explain to you how simple this is. What we've got is we can create our own MCP in Databutton. It's exactly the same as creating an API. We then have one-click deploy, just as usual. The example I'm showing you here is one of the examples that you can use this particular tool, which is it's available to use on Claude Desktop. That's we've got documentation on how to do that on both Windows and Mac. However, they've literally half an hour ago, it's hot off the press, just released a template that you can test it in your app. Like, it's amazing. You can build an MCP and immediately see it in a chat interface, and all you need to bring is your OpenAI key. So that is like really exciting to be testing right now. And I think what I'd love to see is you guys getting involved in this, creating some really cool stuff. And if you go to the next slide, Mike, this one shows us the kind of things that we could make. Sorry if it's a bit small for anyone that might be on a mobile, but I'll try and explain just a few of the branches. This is really just showing us different API themes. Of course, it's endless possibilities when it comes to this. So some of the kind of themes you might build with APIs are like a capture and store. So you could capture conversation history, you can capture user insights and save that to your Databutton application or have it push on to Firebase, for example. You can also have an API that searches and retrieves from either web search or database queries. You can also have that particular API put information into your database. Of course, there's some considerations there, which I'm sure that in time we'll be able to fine tune. But what I'm saying here is it's the ability to take data from a conversation and have it stored in your database or for someone to query a database. Also, any API that you can think of could be connected and given to an AI agent. And as I say, because it's an API, you can then create additional functions that work off of that. So you've kind of got this flow of when data arrives in, you then do X, Y, Z. It's just amazing. So there's some real sort of different use cases here. And one thing I'm really excited about is seeing some of the use cases that come from you guys. Like, you are so creative. It's amazing. And so if you go to the last final slide, if you want to be an early tester, Abra put this out on the product news channel and is asking people to sign up. And if you're interested, sending your email address. And the process there is very quickly, they'll get you access to having MCP in your environment for you to start testing, to start building. As I mentioned, there's this new template that's come out, which is incredible. What I might try and do is, because I really want to show this to you guys, just thinking of a creative way I can show this. It could, just one second. Let me see if I can share. This might not work. This is, Mike, maybe you can confirm if you can see that? Just about, okay, just to give you a feel, what we've got is you click on the link, it opens up the template. All I've done is one conversation with the agent, and we've been able to set this up for me. In the APIs, I really hope you can see that. There's a couple of APIs set up. One's a calculator, and this one is really kind of the brains behind it all. I don't know if you can see that, guys. I'm so sorry if you can't. But let's go to the front end. This is all part of the template. You will be able to use a chat interface and directly talk to your tool. So what that means is you are able, sorry, my big face, you are now able to build an MCP in an application and immediately talk to the agent to see how that looks and how that feels. Is it working? And debug straight away. And the good thing about that, of course, is you can then deploy it and have people testing it for you. And this is why I think it's super fun to get involved now, because you can kind of put all your creative thoughts out there and help inspire people. So yeah, that's kind of what we got at the moment. I'm just going to look at the chat super quick and see. Okay. Yeah, anyone? Thank you. Mm-hmm. Well, we did actually do a mic check, as in, I said if I could get you on like understanding and then we feel like we've got a win on this. How do you feel now? Okay. Okay. Let's see. So I guess the one thing I wanted to make like to bring across here is how MCP is directly related to AI agents. It's quite tricky if you haven't built an AI agent before or kind of been around that a little bit. It's really the big thing here is that it's making AI agents easier to make and build. So if you're not necessarily interested in AI agents, if it's not really an interest for you or something you really kind of want to put some time into, then I would say that it's going to be quite hard to get your head around immediately. So what I would love to do is help break down those walls and help you get past those points of even just building yourself an AI chatbot first. Like that's the kind of step one in this, isn't it? If you're very new to this, build yourself an AI chatbot, which I can completely support with. And then from that point, that will feel a bit more comfortable. And you're like, okay, cool. And then it's like, okay, well, let's add an MCP tool to this. Let's create that and let's see what that looks like. Because I think with this, we kind of have to break it down into stages and steps to really understand the benefits. Does that help? Yeah. Mm. Okay, yeah, so the MCP that you build in Databutton is completely separate to a specific LLM. If you imagine those layers that we had you had the shops and you had the server in the middle, there could be multiple agents that can connect to this server. So you create those, it's like creating one tool and giving different AI agents access to that tool. It means you don't have to replicate the tool generation every single time. You've just got one unified version of that. So it sounds like for your use case, it would be absolutely fine. The scope of the MCP is purely the API that you're creating and the server. Any LLM can be used. Even in the template they've sent out, they've just used OpenAI, but there's no reason you couldn't split it up into DeepSeek or Claude, anything like that. So no, I get it. Yeah, to me that sounds more like an API rather than an MCP. Like I would question like it's an amazing idea, but I think it can be achieved without the MCP because you just have your interface and you put your keyword in. The API, if you're doing it in the app, would be able to do that for you. If you want to then have that as a tool to use elsewhere in maybe Claude Desktop and people can spin it up, then you would be a little bit restricted on what you could generate from that because you wouldn't necessarily be able to bring back visuals and dashboards, but you could provide a really good summary of that. So let's say that they said do sentiment analysis on Databutton, that's on Reddit, it would trigger the tool, it would do its job in the API and it will send it back to the user. So I guess yes, part of that's possible in MCP, but the visual side of it, as far as I'm aware, wouldn't be achievable, but there's no reason why you couldn't have a link then to send them back to your application and get them to look at the visual. Right. Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. Yeah. I get, yeah. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear that. Yeah. Oh, Yuri, honestly, if you got onto the template, no, I really feel this is one of those things that once you get on the template and you see it in action, it would just go, oh, okay. Because you then you get an idea for. Yes, I love that. Brilliant. Let me break that down. So MCP creation tool meant for internal usage. So when we create an MCP, it's a server that's been created and hosted by Databutton. So you can either use that server directly in your own application, or you can have another application use that server. So the server is essentially like a separate, it's almost like an API in a way, where an API, you can have anyone use that. So it does behave like an API, but it's built specifically for AI agents, for tool use and things like that. So yes, and yes. So internal and external. Yes. Please. Oh, absolutely. Get signed up. Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, I can see messages being typed. That's awesome. No worries. I haven't got any DMs yet. I know there's a couple of people I reached out to. So if there are any issues sending me a DM, please let me know. Because yeah, Discord can be a bit funny sometimes. I believe so, as far as we've not heard any difference in pricing. So once you deploy an application and it's hosted, the same rules will apply because you need to have hosting. You need to deploy it for the MCP to be active. When you use the agent to generate the code, it's the same credit usage or deduction of credits. So yeah, as far as I'm aware, there's been no discussion about any different pricing. But if anything changes like that, of course, we'll let you know. But I'm pretty sure it just works as a new feature where you're just deploying it and it's the same. Mm. Mm. Okay, so we did have that visual of the mind map. So if we break it down to the why of an MCP, that might help, because when we have an API, so going back to what creates the MCP, what's under the hood is an API. The API, you are able to create it so it could either search and retrieve information. Thanks, Mike. It could do website searches. It can search your database or queries. It can also call APIs, run different functions on the data that's extracted. So it could be numbers that are being recalled, and then you're then analyzing those numbers. Perhaps you've got a really cool superscript that calculates a certain thing, and that's the USP of your MCP. There's so many different acronyms then, sorry. So the use case there is in your own application. You could have a chat interface like the one I showed you very briefly, where your users of your application are then able to use the API. Let's say that they want to do a web search or search the database, or do some research like on the Reddit example we had from Yuri. Then they're able to interact with the AI and get them to do that. So imagine having your own Databutton agent in your own app that is able to call your APIs and bring them back information. I really hope that helps, because it's quite hard to articulate. And what I would say, Arbitrator, is when you're on the chats that we've got for the templates, that we're going to be trying to brainstorm and get some ideas together, sharing ones as we come across them, like, oh, look what I've made, that kind of thing. So you'll get a really good idea very soon of the use cases. All right. Mm. So the agents themselves, I think they would have access to tools, but this is more than just a tool. It's more of it's a server, isn't it? It's that by spinning up a server, we now give access to our tool to anybody in the world. So if we go back to the so what as well, and what potentially is coming, being able to create an MCP and put it out there in the market, you can monetize that and people, if you can provide something unique and something that people want to use, as I say, you could monetize that. I wouldn't be surprised if MCP marketplaces come up super quick. It's really great to be ahead of this. Not only can you put your MCP out there, you can also direct people back to your application. So there's, for example, a question here by Field Trip about being able to monitor dashboard view and track analytics and usage. But could you imagine having an MCP out there, people use it, you direct them back to your application, and it's already stored their own data, their own information that they've captured through the use of your MCP. Like, I think what we're going to see very soon is new opportunities to build and create value for people with the addition of MCPs. I hope that answered your question, Eureka, because I did kind of go a bit off track there. But the point there is, it's not, we're spinning up a server that gives the ability for that to be distributed. Whereas with an OpenAI agent, my understanding is it's quite restricted to OpenAI. It's restricted to their interface and how you build them. One good thing here is you're using Databutton to help you build the MCP. Databutton are hosting that server for you. It's being deployed out there in the world. So it's all part of the ecosystem of being able to provide value to any potential customers, and also to have your application come equipped with an MCP that people can also use as part of your product, so to speak. Right? Oh. Scraping social media profiles and posts on specific profiles. If you can do it in an API, you can do it in an MCP. So it doesn't sound like you said you like a regular basis as an agent once a week. I would say that setting that up would be more like I can't think of the word of it. It's more of you've got your API. Is that what it is? Like a scheduled, yes. You could set that up as a scheduled job and then it kind of does that. Whereas the point with MCP is more like on demand. When I'm talking to the agent, if I want them to do, if I give them a profile and say, scrape this data, it doesn't matter whose name I put in there, it will send that name to your API, scrape the data and send it back. So that's more of an on demand as you're talking to an AI agent. Whereas it sounds like what you need is the scheduled job where you've already set up the API. It runs the job, once, twice a week, and then stores your data and you can come back in and see it. I haven't used N8N yet, but I know I'm just Googling it a second, because it's like part of workflow automation, isn't it? And yeah, you're absolutely right. That's clicked for me now. Yeah, it's more like, let's say that you want to build your own personal agent, that does certain tasks. Say there's things that you do, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times a week, and it's quite manual. You set up your API, you can talk to your agent and say, run this or search this for this person. Like you're just changing the inputs, but the task's still the same. It's absolutely prime for, and we say about this marketplace, like being able to automate jobs for people, automate regular tasks. And I think having a look at N8N and Relevance AI will give you an idea of what's possible, because that's what you want your APIs to be doing as part of the function, the workflow. That's the thing it would be automating. And I wouldn't be surprised if quite soon we could build, maybe we could do it as a template, like have where you drag and drop things that you want your MCP to do in the front end, and it can compile the code together. I'm going down a rabbit hole, so I'll come back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if you think about the agent that we work with, Databutton agent, when you're interacting with it, let's say that you say the words, can you create a task to do this, this, this? You could say the word create a task in quite different ways, but that's a trigger for it because in its context, we say about model context, it knows that my instructions are to create a task if create a task is mentioned. So it's like, because of the language model, it's able to make an inference on what you're saying and understand what you're saying. It's then using its rule book that we've applied onto that API to say, oh, okay, now I need to do this because I've got a tool for that. So yeah, you can use natural language to control APIs, I guess is what you're saying. Mm. Oh, the team. Oh my gosh. This is an amazing achievement. Yeah, I'd say, oh, sorry, Mike. I was going to say, I think like even, I think it's absolutely amazing. Like, honestly, if you can understand what it takes to build a server, and then also to have that automated for us to use in Databutton. Like, it's incredible. And then when they then release this template to use it, I mean, it's just like incredible. Every single step, they're just making it easier, easier, easier for us to do. And I know it's quite hard to see now, but we will see this boom of being able to monetize on this and make our applications a lot better. And absolutely, the team have smashed it. They've had a really difficult time, trying to get on top. But whatever we can do to raise the profile on this, like talk about it on social media, share our development, share our templates, because it's something to get really excited about. And I think they just deserve the kudos, whatever we can say and put it out there. I think it would just be amazing. I know I'll be shouting about it. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, really well explained. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, so if it's an API that's set up with the right schema, um, if I'm interpreting that correctly, you'd have an API that could would have all of those requirements of the form of what needs to go in. Like you're using a schema specifically to say what needs to be captured, but you're also supporting it with context data, like text, sorry, of how to do it, those instructions, those rules. So yeah, if I'm interpreting that correctly, Dom, yeah, that's what you're saying is you'd have your API that has that schema and that mapping, and then yeah, cool, bro. That's a good use case as well. Like all of these use cases coming forward and examples are really good to talk about. This helps us all to think about it differently. Like, as I say, I'd love to see all these examples come through. Let's start the conversation. Yeah, Skint Life, just send a short email if you haven't already. We'll get you access today and on the chat. And that's for everybody as well. In case you didn't hear earlier, we can get you access to that today. It should be officially launched tomorrow, as we said, but there's some early testing going on. And you can get your hands on this template like right now. It's so cool. I can't honestly. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've got that one. You can Boomix, you can either DM either Mike or I if you don't want to share your email on here, or drop it in the chat. AS Hamilton, yeah, I've accepted that one, so you can send that over now. Thank you. I'm just going to put it up there. Yeah, got one. Same, yeah. If you do not hear anything, if you don't get invited to the channel, reach out to us. If you don't hear anything back, reach out. Like we don't want you missing out at all. So we'll work through the best we can. Well, yeah, I've got some of IDM as well, so we can yeah, AS Hamilton, we're on it. Got you. Amazing. Oh, Yuri. You make me blush. Oh. Hmm. Oh. Mhm. my Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. You, you could go with the whole planning with the agent more than just going for it, because it might be that you and I would actually say, like, speak to the agent, create a task and say, can we explore some opportunities of how to use this MCP? Read the code we have already, give me some ideas, maybe give a theme that you might want to concentrate on, and say, very clearly, do not write code. If you start seeing it write code, stop it. But really keep it focused and ask it to write a report back to the tasks on its findings. So you're asking it to do a bit of analysis, a bit like a deep research kind of thing, and give it some really clear things that you want to achieve and see what it comes up with, because then you can keep using the non-credit use to really think your idea out before you just jump in, and validate that it's something you actually want to do. So I mean, that goes without saying. I think it's probably a good way to do it, even if you are on unlimited. Help educate a little bit and see. Mm. Mm, definitely. Yeah. Mm. Absolutely, yeah. Keep the chat going for sure. Like in general, in community shares, and even in the early one as well. Whenever you've built something, just share a screenshot. Tell us what you've been doing. Like, I honestly can't wait to see what you guys can do. And tomorrow maybe we'll have a little check-in. We can do a bit of a showcase tomorrow and see if we can share some examples, and kind of get some inspiration from each other. So if you're up for that, keep an eye out for that community hangout tomorrow. And yeah, that's it. Is there any more questions at the minute? I can't see anything else come through yet, Mike. Looks like we're done. And just a quick note, I didn't know if I haven't seen your I've seen the friend request, but there's no message in there with your email. So you might need to rewrite that. Ah, amazing. That's amazing. Cool. Right. Well, if we're at the end there, I can't wait to start building on it. I'm like, what am I going to make? So yeah, I'll share what I've made, and I can't wait to see what you guys have made. All right. Thanks, everyone.